Hello and welcome you all. In this lecture, we're going to understand what is the basic structure of a C program. What are the various basic building blocks or basic components that we must have in our C source file so that our code will be definitely compiled without any error. What is the minimum requirement? Okay, so let's start with a very simple C program that I'm going to write, which normally will get in any of the books that you open to learn a C programming. So here it is the very basic requirement I'm going to write. Let us start with a function which is the most basic and most important part of all the C program that you're going to write in a computer. The name of that function is main function. Name of that function is main function. Okay, what is this main actually? Let me tell you, whenever we say that it is a function, what is most important part? The most important part is that this is actually the name of the function, and after the name, a pair of parentheses must be there. What we call it parentheses. Okay, pair of parentheses. Pair of parentheses. So what is main? It is a function. Okay, so whenever we call something in function in C programming, after the name, a pair of parentheses should be placed so that anybody can understand it is a function. It is also called an entry point of execution. Entry point of execution. So now let's put something inside this main. What are the next other part? This is called the body of the main. Represents body of main method. Okay. So we're going to write all the statements that we want compiler must execute inside these brackets. We called it curly braces. This one is actually called open curly braces. And this one is called closed curly braces. Okay. Next what we normally write inside the main method. At the very first part, main method have certain declaration statement. Declaration. What is the meaning of this declaration? Okay, if I give it number 1, declaration means declaring a declaration of some variables or constants. Okay, declaration of some variables and constants. Next part, we can write some executable code also. Executable code. An executable code can be a line of source code or it can be more than one line of source code. So this code will be executed by the compiler. Okay, you can have in executable code, you can have statements like that. Suppose you are performing an arithmetic addition and save the result in somewhere. So suppose you want to perform this. You want to perform the addition between A and B and the result you want to save it to the C. So this is one of the executable statement. So this statement need to be executed by the compiler. Okay, so you can have many such statements inside it. Thereafter, your main method might have a function call. Main method must have what? Can have function call. It is not mandatory always that you are calling some function. But when you talk about function call, it can be a library function. or it can be a user defined function. Okay? And after performing all such things, we always consider that main method must return a value. The last part that we can say return value. So first of all, we need to understand here return what and to whom that main method must return a value. So as I have earlier told you that main method is what? It is an entry point of execution. So next we need to know there must be some question in your mind. Who is actually calling the main method? So at first, when you get compiled the code and your exe get created and then exe get loaded, main method is actually calling by the operating system, called by operating system of your computer. Operating system of your computer. So you need to return some value to the operating system so that your operating system can understand that whatever the statements that you have already written inside the main all are executed and now end of main has been reached. End of main is reached. So how what we should put inside the return value? We normally return an integer value. Normally return an integer value. So now if I combine all these points together, so let me show you a perfect main method, how it can is look like. So this is the main method normally we write int main. Int main means main method will return a value of type integer. Main method will return a value of type integer. So now main method is started. Let us declare something. So we can have a declarative statement, something like integer, suppose a equal to 20. So you are declaring as well as initializing. Let us take a simple declarative statement. Suppose integer k. Yes, so here k is declared. Now let us write some executable code, executable statement. So further you can write here k equal to suppose a plus 3. So the value of a, which is 20, will be added with 3 and the k will updated by 23. So this is a kind of executable statement. So let us print the value of k. So we are calling a function here called printf. Printf is the function, is a standard library function normally we used to print something into computer console. So here I want to print the value of k. K equal to, we need to use one format specifier. I'll tell about them later. Okay, in the next few lectures you can find more about this format specifier details. Just for the time being you consider this is another executable statement, but right now here I'm calling a function. Printf function that we are calling. And what you want to print? You want to print the value of k. So let's put the k here. And so now look at most importantly here. Look at most importantly here that whenever I write a statement, either it is declarative statement, in this case in this two, or either it is executable statement, for this example this statement, or either it is a function call, always the statement is end with semicolon. The statement is end with semicolon. So this semicolon means what? Semicolon means end of statement. End of statement, or you can say end of a line of code, or what you can say end of a line of code. So whenever you are writing a statement inside the main method for C program, that statement must be end with semicolon. So that when compiler execute, compiler consider it is one line of source code and it is another line of source code. In the upcoming lectures, you're going to get the idea, especially what is this? They are data types. So I've discussed this data type in the separate lecture, okay, of this series of C programming, where you can get the complete idea about the data types and what are the other types that C programming actually supports. Now I am considering that this is end of my program. So what next? Next, as I told you earlier, a main method must return a value of type integer. To whom? To operating system. So how to return a value? For that, we need to use a keyword return. Return 0. 0, what is the type of 0? 0 is an integer value. Integer value. So that's why here I have written return type of the main is integer. So now you are informing the compiler that this main method can only return a value of type int. So whenever we have written the return statement inside the main method, then compiler consider end of main function. So now what next? Close the body of main using the close curly bracket. Next, here you look at carefully, you have used a printf function. So what I told you earlier, it is what? It is a library function. Library means what? Library means the code is already exist. How printf is work? The code is already exist in header file. So means it means what? It means that suppose you want to read some book, but as of now the book is not available with you. So what you will do? You will borrow the book from one of your friends. Once your job is over, you return the book. Same thing is possible in any language platform. We call them library function. So in C programming, all such function, library function, those code is already written by the developer present in the compiler library. We call them in the header file. So now we need to know where is the header file, what is the name of the header file of print function, what is the name of the header file. So the header file name is stdio.h. So where to put the header file? Before the main method. Hash include stdio.h. stdio.h. So now you are informing that you have borrowed a function, library function printf, and whose definition, whose code is available in this header file, stdio.h. Next, further what we can put, here in this area, we normally put the global declaration. Please note down, here we can put normally global declaration. So what about this declaration? They are local. They are local declaration. Local means, what is the meaning of local? Local means the variable that you have declared here, a and k, they can only useful within the main method. So here I am writing the difference between local and global so that you can get the clear idea. Local, local variable. In this case, a and k. So what is this? So whenever we declare any variable inside main method, those are considered as local variable. Okay, and what is the next point? And these variables are only useful within main method only. Within main method only. Okay, so now if we just come up with the complete structure of a main method or a simple C program, what we can put. So please write this simple structure. Here I'm going to write it here. We'll go to about these details about local and global variable during the variable scope that I discussed later. So what is the structure? Structure is first point is we need the header file. What we need? We need a header file. And then second point, if there is any global variable required, now declare global variable. Number three is the main method. Is the main method. Inside main method, what is the first part that normally we write? We do the declarations if required. Second thing we do, we normally write the executable codes. Third thing that you can do, if there is necessary, we'll call function if necessary. So I'm considering that we have written all the executable code, those are required, and we call the sufficient number of function, those can complete our requirement. Then what next? The last and most important step that you must not forget here, return a value. And then close the main method. So your program must have these basic requirements. Any C file. Okay, so here I've given some examples of main method. Here you can see. Here I performing what? Addition the 3 with a variable of value a, and we put the result into k. And here we are printing using the printf function. So what is printf function? It is a library function. Means code is already exist in the header file. The pre-compiled code is already there. You no need to write any piece of code to know or to inform the compiler how printf is working. So for that, what we have done, we have add an header file, stdio.h. So now let's talk about this line, hash include stdio.h. So let's talk about this header file. What we have done, we have used this keyword include to include a header file, stdio.h. So from the name, you can easily get the idea what type of file it is. std means standard, I means input, and o means output. And h, this means what? Dot h. Dot h means extension, represents header file type. Header file represents header file. So in C programming, we'll use the keyword include. This is what? This is the keyword. Keyword means what? Reserved words. And cannot be used for any other purpose. cannot be used for any other purpose. Okay, so this is the keyword we always use, include, include, to add the header file. We put the name of the header file inside this bracket. So we called it angular bracket. So it will search in the current directory of the project. So when you use the header file using such symbol, and if you put the name of the header file inside the angular bracket, then compiler will search the header file in the current directory of the project. Of the project, or the library directory, or the library folder, or the directory of C compiler. And this, what is the meaning of this hash? So whenever we put any such symbol hash before any kind of statement in C programming, this statement will be considered as a precursor directive. What it means, whenever you put this kind of symbol hash before any such statement in C programming, what is this? We called it preprocessor directive. Preprocessor directive. Okay, if there is no library function you are using, then there is a no need of this kind of statement or this kind of header file. If you are using any library function, you need to inform the computer in which header file that code is available, so that compiler can refer that code during the compilation of your source file. Okay, yes. So now let's proceed to the that part. What is the meaning of preprocessor directives then? So preprocessor directives means, please note down, there is a small system program present with the compiler. We called it preprocessor. What is its purpose? It simply convert the source code to expanded source code. Preprocessor means what? It's simply, or it's simple, it simply convert the source code. Source code means what? Source code means your .c file that normally we are writing using an editor. .c file will be expanded, converted to expanded source code. Expanded source code. That means what are the source codes are present in your file? Those codes will be enlarged now. More code will be added. More code will be added. So what this preprocessor will do? Suppose what you have this piece of code. Let me just take out different color. Suppose you have this piece of code. Okay. Now, and then suppose simple one line of code that you have. Most popular program in C programming, in any program. Now see, I have just used a function call and return value. I did not use any declarative statement or any other executable statement. although it can be considered as executable statement as well. You're calling a library function, and for that you have added the header file over here. So now what preprocessor will do? Whenever preprocessor finds that this line preceded with the head symbol, preprocessor will do what? Will replace this line of code with the source code of printf function. Printf function. So now the source code will be copy pasted by whom? By the preprocessor before the main method, so that compiler can refer the code that is pasted by the preprocessor during the execution of the code. So that's why this file, which is called after preprocessing expanded source code, because the source code for the required library function is added to your file, and it simply replaces these declarations of header file from here. Okay, so here we can write code for printf. Sorry. So that's why it is called expanded source code. So now if we come up with the complete, finally the main method, complete main method. What is the most basic fundamental points of main method? Main method must have a return value integer. The value will return to the operating system. And the last statement of the main method should be return 0, so that operating system get to know that it reached the end of main method. And main method is called what? It is called entry point of execution for all C programs. And it is initially get called by the operating system when you start compiling and executing the code of C file. So I hope you understand what is the basic requirement of C program and what is the basic structure of C program. In the coming lecture, we're going to see you the life cycle of a C file, C source file. Thank you very much. And please do not forget to share the video and like the video, as well as the most important part, do not forget to subscribe the channel. So if you subscribe the channel by clicking on the bell icon, what you will get? All the latest video that I'm going to upload regarding C program or any other subjects, you're going to get the notification in your email. So thank you very much. Have a nice day.